Okay, great. Good afternoon, everybody. I am Harneet Kaur, Company Secretary of Integra Engineering India Limited, joining this 41st Annual General Meeting of the company from registered office situated in Halol, Gujarat. I hope all of you are good in health and eager to listen to the proceedings of this meeting. Before I start introducing board members and KMPs, I would like to thank all the stakeholders for showing their trust and cooperation during this year. Now, I would like to introduce you to the board of directors of the company. Firstly, we have Mrs. Corinne Ruxel, chairperson and non-executive director of the company, chairperson of Corporate Social Responsibility Committee, member of Stakeholders Relationship Committee, Nomination and Remuneration Committee, and Audit Committee. Madam, can you introduce yourself?
Yes, thank you, Harneet. I am Corinne Ruckstuhl, and I'm joining this meeting from Munich, Germany. I welcome you all at this 41st AGM.
Thank you, ma'am. Next, we have Mr. Adrian Ola, a non-executive director, member of Stakeholders Relationship Committee and Corporate Social Responsibility Committee. Sir, can you please introduce yourself?
Yes, hello everybody. Thank you, Harneet. I'm Adrian Oehler and I'm joining this meeting from Brussels in Switzerland.
Awesome. Thank you so much, sir. Next, we have Mr. Shalan Devetia, a non-executive independent director, chairman of Audit Committee, member of Stakeholders Relationship Committee, and Nomination and Remuneration Committee. Sir, can you please introduce yourself?
My name is Shalan Devetia. I am an independent director of the company. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. And from where you are joining this meeting, sir?
I have joined this meeting from my office in Mumbai.
Awesome. Thank you. Next, we have Mr. Rahul Devan, a non-executive independent director and a member of Audit Committee of this meeting, of this company. Sir, can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Harneet. I'm Rahul Devan, and it's a good afternoon to everyone, and I'm joining this meeting from Mumbai.
Thank you, sir. Next, we have Mr. Bhargav Patel, a non-executive independent director, chairperson of Nomination and Remuneration Committee, and a member of Audit Committee. Sir, can you please introduce yourself? Bhargav, sir, you are on mute.
Hi, I'm Bhargav Patel. I'm joining this meeting from my residence in Alibag, and I confirm I'm alone.
Thank you. Lastly, on the board, we have Mr. Bharat Salhotra, non-executive independent director and additional director. Sir, can you please introduce yourself?
Thank you, Harneet. I am Bharat Salhotra, joining this meeting from Delhi.
Thank you, sir. We do have Mr. Mahendra Sanghvi on the board, but today he will not be able to make it, and hence we have granted leave of absence. Chairperson can confirm the same later on. And I would like to recognize the presence of Mr. Bhavan Karya, Chief Executive Officer, as well as Mr. Kunal Thakrar, Chief Financial Officer, joining from Halol Registered Office, Mr. Parin Shah, partner of Messrs. CNK and Associates LLP, Chartered Accountants, Statutory Auditors, and last but not least, Mr. Devesh Pathak, a founder of Messrs. Devesh Pathak and Associates, practicing company secretaries and secretarial auditor. Now, I request Chairperson to proceed with the meeting. Ma'am, you're on mute.
Sorry. Thank you, Harneet, and a very warm welcome and a good afternoon to the esteemed shareholders in India. I welcome you all to this meeting. Mr. Mahendra Sanghvi, Independent Director, has sent his apology for his inability to attend this meeting due to personal travel abroad, and the Board of Directors have appointed Mr. Shalan Devetia to answer the queries as investors as per Regulation 20 of the SEBI LODR regulations, if any, at the AGM. As confirmed by the company secretary, requisite quorum is present in the meeting and proxy is not allowed in the virtual meeting. Keeping in view the massive outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic requiring social distancing to be followed, the Ministry of Corporate Affairs, MCA, has issued several circulars, starting with Circular number 14, 2020, Circular 17, 2020, Circular 20, 2020, Circular 02, 21, Circular 2, 2022, Circle 10, 2022, dated 25th December 22, inter alia allowing conducting the annual general meeting through video conferencing and other audiovisual means, and dispensing with the personal presence of members. Accordingly, the 41st general meeting of the company is being held through video conferencing in terms of aforesaid circulars. Members are requested to participate on a first-come, first-served basis, as participation through video conferencing is limited. Participation is limited up to 1,000 members only. I don't think we have any problem with that right now.
Yes.
In addition to that, however, the participation of large shareholders, promoters, institutional investors, directors, and so forth is not limited. In compliance with the provision of Section 108 of the Companies Act 2013, read with Rule 20 of the Companies Rules 2014, and Regulation 44 of the Securities Exchange Board of India 2015, members are provided with the facility to cast their votes electronically through e-voting services, but provided by the Central Depository Services Limited, on all the resolutions set forth in this notice through remote e-voting and e-voting at the AGM. Requisite registers are open for inspections electronically during the meeting.
Thank you. Now I request the chairperson to address you, give you the chairperson's speech and then presentation.
Thank you, Hanit. As every year, we have prepared a short presentation about our company and the year that passed, and I'm very happy to share this with you right now. So I hope you can all see my screen. Again, a very, very warm welcome to our 41st annual general meeting. First of all, just a small disclaimer from our side. This presentation, that is just for information purpose and is not any offer. It's based on information that we have and we consider reliable, but it might not be inclusive and might not include all the information, so we cannot take any liability for that. And we can also not take any liability for any forward statements that might be made. We'll start with the agenda for this meeting. First of all, I'd like to give you a short overview of our company, then some more information about our key market, the rolling stock market, some insight about our business strategy and products, then some highlights of the financial performance, and some activities that we've done in the past year on capability and productivity enhancement and digitalization in the value chain. Last but not least, we'd also like to inform you about our sustainability strategy and activities in that area. We at Integra Engineering, we design and manufacture solutions for sustainable mobility. We provide a range of different solutions that mainly go into the rolling stock and the railway market. First of all, the railway panels, the majority of our business. Then we started venturing into the interior segment where we're doing interior solutions for metros and other trains. And we also still are active in the railway control systems where we are producing several types of relays and other systems which are also used in TCAS. You can see here an overview of our client base. We have big multinational customers like Alstom and Siemens, Indian companies such as BHEL, Meta, and I think all the big brands are amongst our respected clients. In order to have efficient and effective systems in place, we have obtained various certificates and also put a lot of work into that during the last few years. These certificates include standard accreditations for quality management systems such as ISO 9001, but also environment management system and occupational health and management systems, such as ISO 45001 and ISO 14001. Then we also have specific manufacturing certificates to give us more control over the manufacturing processes. For this, we have, for example, obtained a certification for welding, this EN 15085, and also this DIN 6701 for adhesive bond working. And CE marking, of course, we also have certain certificates. Coming to the rolling stock market overview, I think I can just repeat information that you all already are aware of if you're studying the market closely. It's been a booming market in the last year. We've seen a lot of growth, and based on different research institutions, we expect the locomotive industry to grow during the next few years also at a rate of at least 10%. You might have read in the news that railway plans to develop over 400 Vande Bharat trains in the next 3 years. And Railways has also floated an order of 100 aluminium-bodied Vande Bharat trains with sleeper facility. The railway budget for this year is, I think, the highest ever, with a huge amount allocated for railways and also a huge amount allocated for rolling stock production in the current year. In addition to that, we see a metro revolution in the country that is happening with many cities coming up with new projects and also additional lines in existing cities. To give you a short overview of our business strategy, we've highlighted the 3 most important pillars. First of all, in addition to our main existing business, the locomotive business, we want to continuously focus on metro projects, Vande Bharat trains, and export opportunities, and further expand our product portfolio in these areas. To be able to achieve that, we need to enhance our infrastructure and manufacturing capabilities. First of all, in terms of capacity, but also with special process know-how. In addition to that, we strive to increase operational efficiency to cater to rising market demand. To be able to do that, we need to create a strong team of dedicated professionals. We need to further work on digitalization in the whole value chain. And also important to us, we want to pursue our sustainability development goals. On this slide, we've just given you a small overview of recent products and solutions that we manufactured, so you have a little bit better idea of what we deliver. On the top left, you see, for example, a cat back wall, which goes into a metro train, which we deliver as a main part to one of our customers. You see on the right some of our existing traction panels which go into locomotives, and on the bottom some other various panels for different applications. We do those panels with different kind of surface treatment, as you can see, also with painting or without painting, but just plating. So a big variety of options that we can offer to our clients. Coming to the financial performance of the last year, I think you've all read our annual report, and we're happy, and I'd like to congratulate the management for the efforts that they have put in the last year. We've been able to grow our revenue by about 30% from 100 crores to 130 crores, which has been quite an operational effort, but it shows that we are able to do a lot. And of course, in line with the revenue, we've also been able to increase our profitability. On that slide, you see the growth in the last few years. You can see that there's been quite a steep growth after COVID, and we've also been able to substantially increase earnings by share in the last year. This is just another overview on the profitability. We've also been able to continuously increase the EBITDA in absolute numbers, and we've had a little lower EBITDA based on the product mix in the previous years, but have been able to increase it again in the last financial year to over 16%. Now, I think you are all very interested in the results of the first quarter of the current financial year, which have been already published. We can happily report that also in this quarter, we have been able to increase our total income, again, more than 30% compared to the previous year quarter, and also slightly compared to the previous quarter. However, in the last quarter, we've also had to invest into our personnel as well as other operating expenses. That's why the profit for the period is slightly lower than the previous quarter. You might all be aware that minimum wages have gone up for contract labor. That's, for example, one of the impacts that we've had to record during the last quarter. Now I'd like to give you an overview of activities or investments we've done into our production during the last financial year. We've done a lot of work to improve our facility. You can see that on the bottom left that we've really streamlined our processes. We've done marking in the floor, and we have put our factory in a much better shape. We have invested in a new liquid paint facility, which you can see here in the middle. We've upgraded our storage and inventory management and added new vertical storage, which you can see here on the right. We've also invested in various machinery and other facilities, such as the bonding facility, which is important for the interior segment. Apart from CapEx or tangible investments, we've also done a lot of investment into systems. We have improved our asset management system. We've introduced a new locker management system. Very important for our production process. We improved and digitized our process management and monitoring systems, so we get up-to-date real data about production status of our different orders. And we've also introduced a new visitor management system. As I mentioned before, sustainability is becoming more and more important for us, but also for our clients. That's why we've done a lot of work on our sustainability strategy in the last year, and our goal is to mobilize towards a better planet. We are committed to continuously improve the environment, health, and safety of our processes, products, and services. In line with that, we are committed to the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals, and we are following its Sustainability Strategy 2030. So we are trying to act on several of these SDGs and take measures on that. Very important for us is environment, health and safety, human rights and labor practices, ethics and supplier sustainability. Of course, corporate social responsibility is also part of that, and we've increased our amount spent for CSR during the last few years. As you can see that in the past year, we've worked together with a school nearby our factory and helped them to upgrade the school facilities by investment into installation of new paver blocks, which you can see in the picture here. We have distributed bedding, which was not available beforehand, and we've also donated a roti maker machine at the school. Health and safety is very important at our factory. That's why we've have a room especially equipped with a paramedical staff that comes and helps employees to be checked and live a healthy and fit life through expert consultation by a doctor. We've also done 10 training programs amongst not all the employees. We're planning to cover this year, but at least 77% of employees that were trained on and empowered on safety awareness in the previous year. We've also done several activities on employee and society engagement. You can see a range of pictures here, selected range. For example, we have a special festival celebration, sports events, health checkup camps like blood donation, for example. So we're doing a lot to engage with the employees and help them to have a better life. On the top right, you can also see on occasion of the World Environment Day, we have planted a lot of plants all around our factory. We have awards and recognitions that we would just like to share with you here. From our customer Placer India, we have received a certificate of excellence for outstanding contribution to development of a new product and developing quality product. And we're very proud of that acknowledgement from our customer. In addition to that, also the government of Gujarat has awarded the employment department of Integra for its recruitment skills and development and apprenticeship to the youth, which we have done in the last year. Coming to the end, the directors would like to express the gratitude for the continuous support to all the employees, to the customers, to the vendors, and of course also to all the investors, including Integra Holding Switzerland. I would also like to give a special appreciation to the commendable performance of the employees of the company who made it possible that in the last year we achieved a record-breaking turnover and contributed towards sustainable transport and sustainable living. Thank you very much.
Thank you, ma'am. I would like to inform these shareholders that there are no qualifications or reservations either in the auditor's report or in the secretarial audit report, and accordingly they need not be read. Now I request madam to continue further.
Thank you. Annual report along with audited financial statement for the period ending 31st March 2023 have already been used for some time, so I take the same as read. As you all know, the company has tied up with CDSL for providing electronic voting facility to the members of the company under Section 108 of the Companies Act 2013, read with amended Rule 20 of the Companies Rules 2015 on all the resolutions set forth in the notice. So all those members who have not cast their votes electronically and who are attending this meeting have the opportunity to cast their e-votes at the meeting. Your company has appointed Mr. Devesh Pathak, practicing company secretary, as the scrutinizer for the remote e-voting conducted from 16th July 2023 to 18th July 2023. They are also appointed as scrutinizer for this meeting and will submit the combined result report. With your permission, I will now take up the resolutions which require members' approval. We first of all start with ordinary business. Item number 1 of the notice relates to receiving, consideration and adoption of A, the audited financial statements of the company for the financial year ended 31st March 2023, together with the reports of the Board of Directors and the auditors thereon. And B, the audited consolidated financial statements of the company for the financial year ended 31st March 2023, together with the report of the auditors thereon. It is proposed to be passed as an ordinary resolution. Now I request the company secretary to read the resolution as the same being ordinary business was not circulated.
Thank you, ma'am. Resolve that the audited financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2023, along with the board's report and auditor's report thereon, as circulated to the shareholders, be and is hereby received, considered, and adopted pursuant to Section 137 and any other provisions applicable, if any, of the Companies Act 2013. Further resolved that the consolidated financial statement for the year ended 31st March 2023, along with the auditor's report thereon, as circulated to the shareholders, be and is hereby received, considered, and adopted pursuant to Section 137 and any other provisions applicable, if any, of the Companies Act 2013. As the item number 2 is related to the reappointment of Mrs. Corin Ruxul, I request Mr. Shalan Devetia to preside over the meeting for this agenda. Shalan, sir?
Yes, good afternoon, everybody. Yes, Corinne, could you please read out the agenda item and the draft resolution?
So the appointment.
Shalan, you're in the chair.
Yes,
You have to read it out
okay.
because it pertains to my reappointment.
No. I'm asking Harneet. Sorry, Harneet to read out. The company secretary reads out.
Okay, sir. Thank you. So item number 2 of the notice pertains to the reappointment of Mrs. Corin Ruxul as a retiring director and is proposed to be passed as an ordinary resolution. Resolved that Mrs. Corin Ruxul, having DIN number 03531399, who retires by rotation and being eligible, offers herself for reappointment. Be and is hereby reappointed as a director of the company, liable to retire by rotation pursuant to Section 152 and other provisions applicable, if any, of the Companies Act 2013. Now, I would like to request Mrs. Corin Ruxul to take over.
Thank you, Hanit. Item number 3 is related to the ratification of the remuneration of the cost accountants. Since resolution in respect of rest of the business are already mentioned in the notice of the AGM, we can take them as read.
As item number 4 is also related to Mrs. Corin Ruxul, I would request Mr. Rahul Devan to preside over the meeting for this particular agenda. Rahul, sir?
Good afternoon, everyone. Item number 4 is related to the payment of commission to non-executive, non-independent director, Mrs. Corin Ruxul, within the overall ceiling limit of 1% of the net profits of the company for all directors taken together with effect from 31/3/2023. I now request Corinne to take over again.
Thank you, Rahul. Item number 5 is related to the payment of commission to non-executive, non-independent director, Mr. Adrian Oehler, within the overall ceiling limit of 1% of the net profits of the company, with for all directors taken together with effect from 31st March 2023. Item number 6 is related to the payment of commission to non-executive independent director, Mr. Shalin Divetia, within the overall ceiling limit of 1% of net profits of the company for all directors taken together with effect from 31st March 2023. Item number 7 is related to the payment of commission to non-executive independent director, Mr. Rahul Diwan, within the overall ceiling limit of 1% of net profits of the company for all directors taken together with effect from 31st March 2023. Item number 8 is related to the payment of commission to non-executive independent director, Mr. Bhargav Patel, within the overall ceiling limit of also 1% of net profits of the company for all directors together with effect from 31st March 2023. Item number 9 is related to the payment of commission to non-executive independent director, Mr. Mahendra Sangvi, within the overall limit of 1% of the net companies of the company for all directors taken together, also with effect of 31st March 2023. As the resolution is mentioned in the notice of the AGM, I take it as read at the AGM. Item number 10 is related to the revision of the authority of the Board of Directors to borrow pursuant section 180(1)(c of the Act up to 50 crores. Item number 11 is related to the authority of the Board of Directors for creation, modification of mortgage, charge, and so on the assets of the company pursuant also to section 180(1)(a of the Companies Act 2013. Item number 12 is related to the approval to appoint Mr. Bharat Salotra as a non-executive independent director of the company. Very warm welcome, Bharat, also here at this AGM of Integra Engineering Limited.
Thank you.
Item number 13 is related to approval of the payment of commission to non-executive independent director, Mr. Bharat Salotra, within the overall ceiling limit of 1% of the net profits of company for all directors taken together, with effect from starting 31st March 2024 for him.
Ma'am, now we have received a few questions and speaker registrations for the AGM. Before we proceed, I would like to request speakers not to repeat the questions covered already in the presentation, giving proper time to all the speakers. First speaker is Mr. Ravi Kumar Naredi. Mr. Ravi Kumar. I think he is not available. We will move.
Are you able to listen me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Respected Chairman, Mrs. Corine Krishna, CEO, Mr. Bhavin, Honorable Board Member and fellow shareholder. Sir, how many orders as on today we are in our hand? If you tell, it will help us to assess the company. Second, we want to ask whether we give our production to Indian Railway directly or through other companies like Siemens et Extra. Third, is our forex outgo is always higher, so any hedging we do. Next, you show 31.39 lakh contract with Aqua Metro Oil and Marine Switzerland as management contract. What is that? If you tell more detail, it will help us. Are you going to list in National Stock Exchange, NSE of India? Any plan in future? You say in management report that global rolling stock market estimation US $54.6 billion in 2023 to US $65.6 billion in 2028, projected by 3.8% CAGR. So we are asking why so low growth predicted by you? Any reason behind that? Other than railway, any plan to diversify in other sector, construction or any other sector, electronic sector? How many capex we done in last 2 years and how many capex we want to do in next 2 years? It is our question. These are my question. If you give point-wise point reply, it will help us.
Madam,
Thank you very much, Mr. Naredi, for your valuable contribution and questions. Let me just answer whatever's possible right now. First of all, you asked regarding our current order backlog. As you might be aware, we are not publishing our order backlog on a quarterly basis. So unfortunately, I'm not able to give you a detailed number. However, I can just say that we have a solid order backlog. You're asking regarding our business. In fact, it is correct. We are not delivering to railways mainly. So mainly our business is via OEMs such as Alstom, Siemens, BHEL, and so on. We have some part of business directly with railways, but I think that is a small share of the total business. Hedging, so far we have not done any hedging, but of course, in case that Forex becomes a bigger topic, we will certainly look into that also. You asked regarding the contract with Aquametro Oil and Marine. This is actually a service contract wherein we are employing 2 people for them who are working on our payroll, but they're actually providing services to Aquametro. So we are billing this work to Aquametro. You asked regarding the NSE listing. So far, we don't have any plans regarding that, but thank you for the input. The global rolling stock markets, the figures that are mentioned in our annual report, these are from a market research company. I think it's quoted there. So it's not our own research. That's what experts are predicting the global rolling stock markets to grow. Of course, areas such as India might grow at a higher rate, but countries like Europe are more saturated, and there, of course, the growth is much lower. Regarding the capex for the last few years, I can't give you the total number right away. We would need to add it up from the different annual reports, but I can just say here that we will have to continue investing in capex, and I don't expect the capex investment to become much lower in the ongoing year.
Okay. Ma'am, one more question was there for the diversification.
Yes, diversification. As of now, we see a lot of potential to grow in the railway market, so we don't have any concrete plans to diversify into other market segments. However, we are always checking our strategy and reviewing where we could best offer our solutions. So that's a continuous process.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope, Mr. Naredi, we could answer your questions. Moving forward, we have second speaker, Abhishek Singhal. Can we have Mr. Abhishek?
Am I audible?
Yes.
Okay. Respected Chairperson Mrs. Corinne and CEO Mr. Bhavin, Honorable Board Member and fellow shareholders. My question, will this net profit margin 13.66% is maintainable? Second question, will you raise any equity in future? And third question, any annual con call plan by management? And last, okay, these three are only three questions.
Madam.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Singhal, for your questions. First of all, regarding the net profit margin, of course, we strive to maintain a good profitability. However, as you know, we are working in contract manufacturing, and we are always under pressure in terms of pricing from our customers. So I can't guarantee this profitability for the future. but we will certainly try the best and try to focus on business where we can also have a good profitability. But it's always a weighing off, because we might be able to increase our turnover, but not at the same profitability. So the management always has to review and weigh the different options and possibilities to see how to keep our profitability versus our growth, and compare the absolute amounts with the percentages also. Then you ask about raising equity in near future. As of now, we don't have any plans. And regarding the annual conference call, I did not understand that clearly. As of now, we've not planned to have any other calls other than the annual general meeting, which gives opportunity to shareholders to ask questions.
Okay. Moving forward, we have Mr. Rohit Vinod Kumar Ohri. Rohit, are you available?
Yes, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes.
Hi, Corinne, Adrian, Harneet, thanks for adding me to the call. Quite a little bit of a bullish yet cautious approach and commentary from your end. Well, you did mention that you've been able to do quite a lot in the last year, and the last year has been booming. But what we expect going forward is the numbers. And I know you've been conservative in sharing numbers, but then if at all you can just get some ballpark numbers, that would be great. I've already sent you a list of queries. If you want me to repeat them, or if you want me to go one by one, then I'll do that. Just let me know what you want me to do.
Ma'am?
We have received your questions, so I can also straight away answer your questions. That's not a problem. Let me just repeat it then for the remaining people in the call, so they know what we're talking about. So you asked about the TCAS or covered system, and if we could play a role in this domain. As you might be aware, this covered is an automatic train protection system that has been developed by Indian Railways. This technology, it requires metal to carbon relays, which we are also manufacturing, or we started to develop, and we are manufacturing part of these relays. We're further expanding our product range, and I think this will help us to offer the complete range of relays that are required in these CAVAC systems. However, I have to say this is a very competitive market. Metal to carbon relays, there are many different players, so we are active there, but it's quite challenging. Then you asked us about the export opportunities that we see via the OEMs. Of course, we are supplying to different OEMs, and we see opportunities also in export projects for different regions of the world. And we also see that several of our Indian customers, they are exporting from India to surrounding countries or even further away. So we see a lot of opportunities there, and we have already started some export business. For example, we produced panels that went into New York Metro, and we will certainly explore this kind of business in future also. But I think, as I mentioned before, the Indian market is really booming, and export is there. It's an attractive segment, but the big volumes, I think, are right now happening in India itself. Then your next question was, what is the current order or related works which we have received from the OEMs? So we have different panels that go into locomotives, which we produce on a regular basis. In addition to that, we have started interior components for metro projects, where we are delivering to Alstom components for some running metro projects, which will also run for a longer period of time. Then you asked about the soft diversification in a line of business. For example, TMS, traffic management systems, or any other diversification which could be a future opportunity for Integra. As I mentioned before, we still see a lot of scope to grow in the railway rolling stock market. So as of now, this is our main focus, and we are not looking at diversifying much more. However, as I mentioned before, we are regularly reviewing our strategy and seeing what is the best way to go ahead. You asked about new clients added to portfolio in order to mitigate the concentration of revenues from 2 or 3 traditional players where the concentration risk is quite high. Of course, we try to diversify with the OEMs and not just to deliver to one OEM like Alstom, for example. So we work with most of the OEMs, and we have recently added, for example, one customer in Spain, which is called CAF Power and Automation. And we are also looking at adding the additional remaining OEMs that we are not catering to our portfolio in the next years. So we are not dependent on just one OEM. You asked if we are exploring more opportunities in the transport segment. What are the new products and offerings that we are talking about? So new products and offerings, I think on the one hand, in the signaling business, we are talking about the development of the metal to carbon relay portfolio, where we've done quite some work in the last year. And then we are also looking to expanding our product range for the rolling stock market. A few years back, we've just been supplying panels for locomotives, and we have been able to add more products in the interior segment also, where we are trying to continuously increase the scope of supply. So there, I'm sure you must have been using a metro and seeing the inside of a metro. Of course, there are lots of sheet metal parts all around, from luggage racks to side walls, to back walls, to ceilings. And we are trying to deepen the portfolio and adding more products in our scope of supply. I think this is also in line with your questions. What are your efforts to maintain a steady order book? Of course, that is one effort, is to increase the product range. And then also one effort is to work together with different OEMs, that whoever wins the railway tenders, we are able to supply to the respective OEM. And the question how to retain the skilled manpower, of course, that's a big challenge. It's a booming market. There's a lot of potential. There's also a lot of competition, new competition coming up, and it's a challenge to hire and also to keep the good people. We are trying to do that by maintaining a culture where our employees are motivated and rewarded for their efforts. We want to have them as contributors, and we want to give them ownership so that they can really take pride in their work and contribute to the company's growth. And as I mentioned also in my presentation, we are doing a lot of events and activities for employee motivation, engagement, and building a team. Oh, you really asked a lot of questions. Then you asked about automation or semi-automation. What investment would be there? What could we do? Huh? And how to reduce the workforce. So as I mentioned in my presentation already, we try to digitize whatever is possible. However, we have a lot of manual work, which still is there in our production, and we have a lot of variety in our products also. So it's not that from one panel we produce 1,000 numbers, but it's rather smaller quantities. So we try to automate the manufacturing process to the extent possible, but we still need manual work, especially for smaller quantities where it's not, as of now, not efficient to invest into automation. However, our goal, and that's also the board's goal for the management, is to continuously increase the turnover per head count. Okay, you wanted to know about metro projects and export, and what is our vision for the same, and how much % of exports can you gain from the current operations? So for the metro interior, I think, as I mentioned before, we just started this business in the year 21-22 with Alstom, with a limited scope of supply, with few fabricated components, and we want to add more components to the supply range, where we've been successful already in the last years, and I think we will continue on that path. To develop additional fabricated components and solutions which can give us additional business also in the coming years. In terms of export, just if we look at the past numbers, in the last year, it was only about 1 to 2% of total turnover. We expect this to be more in 23-24, and it could increase continuously in the coming years also, depending on, of course, how much the Indian business as such grows as well. Then you asked about the cyclicality of the operations during the year. I would not say that we have a typical cyclicality during the year, apart from the holiday season where we just have less working days. Apart from that, I think ups and downs in our business are very much driven by our customers and our customers' demand, which in turn can be influenced on their supply chain if they have all the other components to finish the trains. So if they don't have the other components, they might not take our deliveries. Or if, for example, there's a delay in a metro project and the civil work is not ready, our deliveries might also get affected. But as such, our business is not very cyclical. You also asked about the inquiries that we received for different segments, and on what we see for projects in the next 12 to 18 months. I can just tell you that we have received more than 100 inquiries in the last few months, or in the last year. I think more than 100. So there's a lot of inquiries, and not all of them might materialize into business opportunities. Some of them are also just a lot of work, but we of course see a lot of interest from the OEMs. you noticed that we will need more funds, and you asked how we intend to raise more capital, or if we are looking at dilution of promoter shares. So I can just inform you that at present we are managing the additional fund requirements by our cash profit. We are of course looking at different options to fund the future requirements, but you might be aware that our borrowing is right now also still very low, so we still have a lot of potential there also. I don't think the promoters intend to get diluted, so that a majority ownership certainly will need to stay there. So let me see. I still have about 3 pages of questions from you, Rohit. Do you want me to go through each and every question? Or how can we go ahead? Can you maybe just highlight what are the most important questions for you?
Corinne, if I can suggest, maybe in the interest of time, if we can actually send him an email back with the questions that you haven't answered.
We can certainly do that.
Just that Adrian is there with us and he is representing the parent company. So Adrian, if you would like to say a few words as to what the parent company is looking at and going forward, what is your the directional growth aspect as to what you feel that Integra Engineering India can do from the parent point of view. And Corinne, with the other questions, I think the one that makes a lot of sense is related to the property that we have, which is approximately 18 acres, out of which only we kind of have 12 acres, which is free and unutilized. What do you intend to do with that? And I do always ask this question related to the CRP's 4%. It would be great if Adrian and his team they can help wipe it off because now we're generating enough of cash flows. I think that whatever the pending amount is, we can very well take care of that and probably have a very clean balance sheet. And probably that can invite more of FIIs as well as DII investing into the company. With the other questions, I'll be happy if you answer on a mail or take it offline or probably send the answers via Harmeet. Adrian, if you would like to say something, that is the last request that I have from my end. Thank you.
Okay, with your permission, Corinne, thank you, Rohit. Sure, I can briefly say something. Looking back, let's say during the last about 20 years that I've been involved in this company, my and Integra Holdings' goal was always to continuously grow and develop the business. I think we have done quite a considerable job in doing so. I think when we're looking at where the company stands today, I think it's a nicely profitable, very nicely growing company. And our strategy in these regards is not changing. Integra Holding will continue to invest in terms of our management resources. Corinne and I were traveling regularly to India. Corinne is very actively involved also with the management on a continuous basis to support and guide the team so we can continuously grow and also in the next year further develop the business. That's definitely not going to change in the near and midterm future. I think that's clear. In regards to the CRPS, the only thing I can say here is that we're not going to forgo, obviously, because we have paid for these shares during the transaction when we have taken over Schlafhorst. So over the next years, we will have to come up with a solution how to pay back those CRPS. I hope I did answer your questions.
Yeah, maybe just from my side to add regarding your questions regarding the land. It is true we still have a land reserve. However, land is very precious, and of course we want to keep this land reserve and not dispose it off. We also see the need to further expand our capacity. So I think we will keep this land for future growth. Or if at some point we don't see any growth possibilities for the company anymore, we can always think at renting it out to third parties.
But Corinne, if I just may add, as a general rule of thumb, if you own land, don't sell it off, because in the long term you might need it.
Absolutely, that's our philosophy. Good. So I hope we've answered most of your questions, and I suggest then, Harnit, that we move ahead with the other many speakers that are still there, if that's fine for you.
Yeah, sure. So moving forward, we can call Mr. Hemil Surendra Manik. So can we have Mr. Hemil here? Okay, no problem. So we will take another speaker then. Mr. Ankur Chanda. Is he there? Mr. No problem. Then can we have Miss Veena Patel? Miss Veena Patel? Hello?
Yeah, am I audible?
Yes, perfect. Please go ahead.
Good afternoon, everyone. I have quick 5 questions. Although I had mailed a total of 7 questions, I'm just consolidating into the more relevant after listening to your presentation and the previous speakers' questions. First of all, as we have been diversifying into the related areas to cater to the railway opportunities in India, if you can just give a broad number on the addressable opportunity size for our company in all these segments that we are catering to the Indian Railways. The second question is, in the presentation, we have highlighted the order intake, that is the order inflow. If you can just provide at the end of the last financial year, FY23, what was the order book? And on an average, what is our execution cycle for this order? Third question is, you had mentioned in your presentation about the investments that have been made for the capability, productivity enhancement, and digitalization. If you can just provide the quantum of the investments that have been made in these initiatives in the last financial year. And going ahead, what kind of CapEx plans we have, looking into the consideration of the opportunity that would come up in the Indian market. And the next question is, what is our current capacity utilization and the peak revenues that could be possible from the existing capacity? And finally, going ahead, what would be our working capital cycle? I'm trying to understand the inventory, the receivables, and the payable cycle for the company. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your questions, Ms. Patel. Let me try to answer whatever is possible. First of all, you asked about the addressable market to quantify this. Unfortunately, I'm not able to exactly quantify the addressable market because we are in contract manufacturing, so our scope of supply is quite broad. So depending on what we consider as reachable, the numbers might turn out quite different. So, and there's also no exact data available on that. However, we can say that we see a lot of opportunity wherever there are locomotives, there are metro trains, there are semi-high speed trains, high speed trains. So all these projects coming up, we see a lot of opportunity for our company. And also railway coaches would be another business to further venture into where we're not active at all. Then you asked about order backlog and execution cycle. As I mentioned before, we are not publishing our order book, so I'm not able to give you more details on that right now. However, on the execution cycle, that varies a lot depending on the projects and on the customers. So there are certain projects where there are tenders where we're getting an order and we know that is going to be executed for the next 1 year. And there are sometimes also more short-term orders. Maybe Bhavin, if you can add something on that from your side.
Yes, we can see that basically the executions point of view that yes, we are getting some short-term orders also, and the projects where metros are there where we are getting the long terms which we have to consume during the 12 to 18 months time.
Then you asked about the capacity utilizations and what would be possible from the existing capacity and capex plans for the next years. As of now, we see that we are getting close to our capacity utilization. Of course, there are always different bottlenecks, but as of now, we are getting really tight in terms of space. So we are close to our capacity limit now. So we plan to further invest into our facilities with more space for production. And of course, also always machinery. If we need to increase the volume, we might also need to increase investment into machinery. And in line with our sustainability strategy, we also plan to invest in solar installation for renewable energy to drive our operations. Then you asked also about the working capital cycle. We have right now a cycle of about 45 to 60 days for inventory and receivables and payables, and we don't expect any major change in that as it's a standard running business. I hope I've been able to answer your questions.
Yep. So can we move forward then? Another
Yes.
shareholder is Neelam Mittal. Can we have Miss Neelam Mittal? Okay, no problem. And ma'am, there were some messages from the shareholders attending this AGM.
Okay, where do we see their messages?
I have already mailed you, ma'am.
You sent me a mail. So let me see, maybe I can answer those questions also.
Yeah, just a second. We saw that Mr. SP Mittal is there. He has also registered. Can we have Mr. S.P. Mittal?
Yeah, good afternoon. Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, Corinne ma'am, thanks a lot for detailing about the company in such a detailed manner. The presentation and your answers have been very helpful for the shareholders. I hope that this presentation which you shared, this can be put up on the website or uploaded on the exchange. This will be very helpful for the investors and shareholders to understand things better. Also, if like someone suggested, usually the listed companies these days have a 6 monthly investor conference call. It's a 1 hour window on a time that you can give, and anyone interested can join in. And by doing this good practice, we all can get to understand the business more better every 6 months. So these are two suggestions I had, and just a couple of questions now. Most of them have been covered. In reference to the last speaker, the question was that given the capex we did last year, which was around 7-8 odd crore, and you have talked about automation and so many other things, what is the capacity increase that we have been able to achieve? Like you are saying that we are already running quite tight on our shop floor. We are already at a high utilization. So what has been the increase? Like in the annual report, you have mentioned that we make 24,000 enclosures, I think 2,400 enclosures last year. So how much does this number go up? Does this go up by 50% because of the last capex? Or what is the maximum revenue potential? One. Second, we all know that Switzerland is where the best trains are in terms of technology, and given the kind of automation we are seeing in India, the new trains, are we not trying to bring more products to India, in which we might have the technology edge or something like that? If you can share something on that part. Yeah, and one more thing you mentioned in your presentation about the Kavach thing, but you also shared that you're making the relays, TCAS opportunity that is there in India, but you mentioned that you're only making relays, which is very competitive. Is that the right thing, or we are doing something more on that signaling side of the things? And yeah, and one more question, like in this enclosures, who would be our real competitors, and what is the edge versus others when we are doing this business? How we are better than others, or in the interiors of the metros? What is our uniqueness versus the other competitors, and who are the other relevant competitors? Thank you.
Mr. Mittal, thank you very much for your questions and inputs and suggestions. I've noted down you suggested that we should do a 6 months earning call. We take note of that. We'll see if we can consider that in future. As of now, we're still quite a small team, so it's a lot of efforts to do this kind of activities, which then take us away from our daily business with customers. But we'll certainly take this up and consider to introduce that. You asked regarding the capex investment in the last year and how much that additional capacity that would give us compared to the last year. I think you see it a little bit in the first quarter growth. We've been growing 30% compared to the last year. I think we can expect a capacity increase on in the same lines. Then you mentioned about the Swiss trains. I think what is special about the Swiss trains is that they are so punctual, not necessarily technology, which is in many cases not from Switzerland, but also from Alstom or Siemens. But it's a valid point. We ourselves, we don't own any Swiss railway technology, so we can't bring it ourselves. However, we are working closely with the global OEMs like Alstom, Siemens, and we are trying to support them in the localization and local manufacturing of the global technology. And of course, we will also try to support the Swiss manufacturer Stadler, who is planning to come to India in their efforts to make a market entry. You asked about the signaling business and if we could not do more on that front. We've explored these options and we've added added several products in our portfolio during the last few years. The last in line were the metal to carbon relays. I think beyond that, we will not be able to add more signaling products because the new signaling systems are very much digital and electronically based. So it's a lot about software and software programming where we are not having the know-how and the skills to compete with other big multinational players. Lastly, you asked about our competitors. Our competitor range is quite broad. We are competing with big Chinese manufacturers, for example, that have subsidiaries in India, but we're also competing with small Indian sheet metal contract laborers. So there are many different, very segmented competitor field, I would say. And in terms of differentiation, I think we have different differentiation possibilities. One of course is our location, which is right now favorable to supply to the factory of Alstom in Savli, close to Baroda. We're also quite close to a Siemens plant, so transport is always a question. In this regard, we are well positioned, at least for the Western manufacturers. Then I think one advantage is also that we are a multinational professional company. So for the big multinational OEMs, it's always an advantage to know who is their counterpart and to have a certain long-term stability and reliability. In terms of process and manufacturing know-how, I think during the last few years we've really developed a lot of know-how on these various products. We know the processes, we know the design of those panels. We have a good know-how on that, and we've also done a lot of investment in special processes like surface treatment, which is very important for our customers as well. But at the end, it's always a price point, which is also important factor also for us. Pavin, would you want to add anything from your side here?
No, you rightly said that yes, we have invested a lot into increasing our know-how of the spatial processes like painting, bonding. These all are the spatial processes is required to improve the interior quality of the metros. So yes, we have invested into that, and we are continuously doing efforts into improve further.
Good. So I hope I've been able to answer your questions, Mr. Mittal. If it's okay, I would continue with the last questions that Harneet you sent to me by mail that have been put into the chat box, which were asked by Mr. Keshaf. He asked about what percentage of turnover would be directly to railways and what percentage would be indirectly to railways. I would say more than 90% is indirectly through OEMs, and at less than 10%, which is done directly with Indian Railways. Also, if we look at how much is government and non-government, at the largest share is certainly business with non-government companies, and only so private sector is about 85 to 90%, and public sector about 10%. Then Mr. Keshaf also asked about the outlook for 24 in terms of top line. Unfortunately, I'm not able to give you an outlook for that. I think we are working hard and trying to grow, but we cannot give you any concrete figures on that.
Okay. So thank you, madam. Dear members, we have arranged e-voting facility at the AGM also. It will be available up to 15 minutes from the conclusion of this meeting. Now I would like to request Corin Madam to proceed further.
Okay. Now I would like to request Mr. Devesh Pathak of MS Devesh Pathak and Associates Scrutinizer to give you instructions for e-voting at the meeting for all business set forth in the notice. Mr. Pathak.
Thank you, Corin. Good afternoon, everybody. I would like to share instructions relating to e-voting and waiting. Those who have already e-voted, they are not entitled to vote now. Those who have logged in to attend this meeting are only entitled to e-vote. And lastly, e-voting is on and it would be available up to 15 minutes after the conclusion of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With this, the 41st meeting of the company comes to an end. I would like to thank all the shareholders. I am grateful to you for your time and involvement into our company. I further hereby authorize the company secretary to announce the voting results within 48 hours of the conclusion of the AGM and intimate to the BSC and declare that the meeting is concluded. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Madam, for chairing the meeting. I also thank directors and auditors for attending this meeting. Last but not least, I would like to thank the shareholders for attending this meeting. Thank you so much once again for all your contribution.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Yes, same.